Hello everyone. So I have decided to record the stream today of about what I'm currently busy with. I'm gonna tell you about the project that I'm working for the last couple of months. But first, I'm seeing someone at the stream, and I'm not anticipating a lot of people. But I wanted to check if you guys hear me because I have a new microphone. Here. And I'm still testing it. It was fine yesterday, though. Let me know if you can hear me. Can someone please? Hello, hello. Um, but let me know. Well, then, I'm giving it a couple of minutes to start. Started in 5 minutes and before the planned stream. And we'll be waiting for a few minutes to few people to show up, maybe. Hello, War Dark. Hear well. Okay, thank you. So that's great. And I hope the sound is much better. Because there have been comments about the setup. Got the new camera, got the new microphone, and so getting more actively back into the streaming, and yeah, and supporting this channel. So everyone who would be looking at, thank you for your attention and whatever. But to keep it to the subject and to provide you with the short introduction on it. It's again, a couple of months ago, I have severed my cord with the corporate world and industrial complex, so to say. I'm currently retired and not looking to any further occupations. And I've been working at something that I've really wanted to work for a long time. So I'm, in some sense, heavily using this opportunity. And this is a project closely connected with writing and franchise building. Fortunately, it's a brave world. It's a brave word, franchise, for anything. But anyway, this is what I'm up to. A little bit of a background. I've been writing actively and been a published author for a couple of books. And I think that I'm committed into this gig for writing in general for about all of my active career. Part of this probably because writing is not just my passion. It's also a way to alleviate stress in some sense or anxiety, and well, because I had both being quite a big part of my life, you can presume that there is a lot of writing. And today I'm gonna tell you about the project I been in, and without any further ado, let me just start, talking about it. I'll need to show screen, and get you through some of the tabs and provide you some of the explanations and so on. So the thing is called Velvet Curtain. It's what you call a hypersetting or a multiverse, which is by definition a number of settings and stories combined into one big thing. Which I've been writing in for a very long time, occasionally back from 2000-ish to each of them sporadically. Some of the settings got into the book publishing, some of them have been influencing stuff I've been doing into the game development back in the day. But overall, it's a solo hobby thingy, right? And it connects from 5 large parts. So the first picture you see here, it's a picture for a setting called Dynasties. It's a large timeline related to the story of spatial human families and houses, so-called, right? Where they exist for a very long time. They fight for power secretly. It's a speculative fiction. They don't per se have magic like throwing fireballs and stuff, but they can do small things. They can control coincidences and they can involve in human life and politics and history in a variety of different levels. And there are minor houses and major houses, and they're in a constant confrontation. It's a lot of fractions. And an interesting peculiar thing, they every couple of hundreds of years they get into a contained conflict called emulation, and whatever house wins means that for the next period of time, like 100 and 200 years, they would be deciding the course of human development, find the civilization development of the planet overall. The second one is Velvet Curtain. Velvet Curtain is for a Cold War setting, related to stuff like MK Ultra, an experiment called Red Mark, which is an analogy of MK Ultra in Soviet Union, confrontation of both powers behind them, people who've been subject to these experiments, who have these extra human abilities called extra abilities. And some of those victims of experiments, they flee and they try to oppose the company who stands behind it, and the company's name is Versa. It's my umbrella, in the whole of the setting. And we'll talk about it a little bit later when I'll show more details on the timeline. The Big Band one is it's a 12th hour. 12th hour is the name of the secret organization combined by both human and not human as well, and effectively it's secret services and intelligence community of this world, which fights again against Versa and against violations of code, including Velvet Curtain. Velvet Curtain is a form of things has to be kept in secret, right? It's humans should not know about things going on and should not be ever exposed to general population. And with the headquarters in London, this part of the setting is a big love letter to the place I live now, and we'll then talk about it more. That's Cyberside. There is a book called Cyberside. You can read it if you haven't before. A story of the company that started to develop games, went into a global tech corporation, and came up with a way to migrate people consciousness to virtual world, which they control now, and things don't go as they were not should to go. And it's a story of a couple of characters trying to reboot the system. And I'm actively working at the prequel now. Half of the book is written. I still have half of the book to go, which is probably a question of a month, maybe 2 months for the first draft, and then it would be edited. And well, hell knows, when it will be edited to the form it can be published, because I mentioned it many times. Editing is much more complex for me than writing. And the fifth one is Synthesis, right? It's Synthesis is a future. It's when things go wrong and people immigrated to the cyber side, the real world still exists. And some of the events from previous settings led to the fundamental society that oppress anyone who's left on Earth, and do it in a very specific way. But let's talk about it in a bit of more detail, right? It's these 5 things. It's as mentioned, there is a book published in one of them. There's a book written, in another one. There's a book which is pretty much written on the first draft in a 12th hour. And there is a lot of materials in all of those. I'm not starting from the scratch, like I said. It's a lot of notes. And we'll go through some of those materials today. I'll tell you what I have in each of them. But before that, it's here's a timeline which I've been working recently. This timeline connects all of the settings into the one a big story, so to say, which I've been building in a matrix fashion. There's a 5 settings which just talks about, talked about world timeline synthesis, in a Versa Foundation 12th hour dynasties, in the cyber side. This is the general one. This is the core central events, so canon 100%. Those would probably not be changing. 99% would not be changing. And the timelines related to settings, they're a little bit more flexible. I think I would be introducing changes. I 100% I will be introducing changes to the current existing picture. But I wanted to talk a little bit about the structure of the project, and how I'm building it, because it's not an orthodox way to approach things. But I honestly think that that's super interesting. So there's got to be a website. I mentioned it a couple of times, and it's got to be a big, complex, sophisticated, semi-platform thing, right? And it will include the timelines for all of the settings, and it will include separate setting sections where there will be canon events, and there will be things which are getting added through the progress of work on the sub settings and the global setting. I kind of think that at some point of the existence of this universe, I will make a website section where people would be able to contribute with the short stories to the setting subsections, though this one would not be changed. I also think that a very interesting element of it is that you kind of know key events, and everyone would know all of the key events happening on the timeline, and each of the sections would basically have a little tab that tells very briefly what's going on and what this event means, and also we'll have an extended part with a few passages, like telling about some of the additional stuff, and those tabs would also include additional media like for artworks and pictures and whatever you can think of. And but to quickly get you through it, I wouldn't go too crazy. It goes in for 4 sections. So sacred knowledge is lore. Nothing would be reading into that. These are the things people refer to. This is something that happened well back in the day. And this section, as you see, have no intersection with other settings. Right, this is where I restructure the whole history. It starts with humans being apes, basically. Events like Inception, is how civilization starts. And first contact is about apes meeting aliens, basically. I mean, the spaceship crashes into the Earth, and that starts, and that becomes the reason for civilization starting as we know it. Another take on the evolution of there's a section of Atlantis, which is rethinking Atlantis in general, and a golden age of coexistence of human and this aliens that arrive into the Earth. Houses emerge. Houses are related to dynasties. So House of Jupiter is this one super big pre-house that basically is a influenced creation of all of the other houses. First war, separation of houses to the bunch of different fractions. A Sumerian legacy, a Sumerian civilization is a big part of Otavanoit. I use it as a key for a bunch of things. Silver Age, the coexistence. How civilizations start and how they become separate from the one big one civilization. War of jealousy in between nations and Grand Departure, which is my take on how people started to move around the globe and inhabit different parts of it. And the Scourge of Blood is an interesting thing. So blood is an important concept for it, because for rethinking the whole Enochian apocryphs, right? I'm taking it as a thesis for some of the connections between humans and aliens, or humans as well. Not to telling too much, but they come into existence of the clans and houses and families who become those clans, and then they start to get into conflicts. Scourge of Blood is one of the important ones. Rule of the priests is that where supernatural families, get separated with the general mass of the population, and rules and priesters in between them. Empire, the creation of the Roman Empire, the prophet, is the prophet that changes world in general. The big change and the reconnection of civilization of somewhere in between the Dark Ages, right? So you can imagine, that that what it is, like, but what I'm telling of it's a code of things happened before. Not a lot of people know about it, and it's a secret knowledge, like that's sometimes mentioned, like along those lines. History rereading is a part of one setting's dynasties and a little bit of the 12th hour, and this is where it gets into the first intersections of. I would not go through each event. Don't worry. I mean, like that would be too much a long video for it. Like, and anyway, like it all will be described at the website that you can catch out. It starts with the times of the Magna Carta, when the bloodlines charter have been done in between the royal families and the houses of blood, and so-called dynasties, like appeared. A bunch of covenants been done, and Amulatio started to define power of these houses on theirs. General timeline still's going on, like, and now it's connected with events here and a little bit here, which is a lot of intellectual work to get the soul in a way so it not crumble away, not crumble apart, like when you start connecting the dots. And an interesting part of this one is a bunch of wars that we all know about it, and different type of explanation for them, like due to the setting. 12th hour is a personal story that's important for all of the settings, which starts at the 18th century, and it's an inception of the setting called the 12th hour, like, and influence the events on it. Then, like, this goes to a Secret Cold War. This is heavy. This is a big one, and most of the events are starting and merging and intersecting here. Like on the cyber side, this is the part I'm currently working at. Like, it's like this bubble. It's about how Fall Water Lake been started, how founders met, and they launched the first game, and then been invested by the Versa Foundation, and then started to progress into through a number of events into the tech company, slowly getting corrupted, getting to migration, like into the digital world, and then slowly getting into the an existing cyber side book, like which is here, like this part, right, like, and this part is something you don't know about yet, like it's how events of the cyber side would be connected, like with the general timeline and for other settings. So on a Secret Cold War with dynasties, it's a core part as well. I have it written for a long time, to be honest, but I've been thinking about it before as a video game, and then it progressed to the board game, but I have about like maybe 300 pages of lore, like related to this whole part. All of the characters are described, like we have the rule book for it. But to keep things simple and in general, like this is main events of the main events here and here on the central timeline, and here, like in all of the settings, right? Like the Versa Foundation, which is a Cold War period where most of the events happen, and the MK Ultra happens, and Red Mark happens, and Versa becomes the International Financial Institute, like, and they invest into the Fall Water Lake, right? Like they also invest in some of the pharmaceutical organizations, and they influence event of the world here, like on this part of the setting, and effectively, like they lead it to collapse, like further down here in the timeline where synthesis happens, right? Like, and 12th hour participates in all of these events as our typical goodies, like it's good guys. They're trying to stop the events, like that happening on the timeline, instigated by Versa and somewhat by the reckless actions of the dynasties, but they fail. Like the whole Secret Cold War ends up at this very, very condensed series of events, like over here, and over here, and they lose this war. And effectively, this is my big Empire Strikes Back part, like, and a point where good guys are losing, like, but not all of the hope is lost, and they would be pivoting to get through the synthesis, like, where most of the people migrated to a digital world, so completely under control. Earth is scattered. Fundamental regime rules it. There is a prophecy about the girl who will appear, and she would be a descendant of one of the dynasty's bloodlines. Like, and this prophecy is well known to the 12th hour, and and Versa Foundation is very aware of her, so they're trying to contain this incident. And all of the goodies get together, like, to reload the cyber site, immigrate people back, and fight against the bad guys, like, in a final, like, of this whole epic, like, and opera, if you want me to use this word, right? Like, so yeah, I mean, like, I think that from the point of view of presentation, we'll start with the timelines, and we would be adding events, like, and while those events would be added, for the actual books and comic and board games and other product and some media information would be gradually added. And while this would be happening, I really want to start building the community so people would contribute into the setting, like, and making it more interesting. On describing in a short form events, right? Like, that are not the part of the canon, but maybe some personal stories of people involved into the setting, like, and I might as well do a couple of content contests, like, with some monetary prizes, to give it to people who write best stories as well. And like, a few of my friends joke, like, contest is something that I just cannot stop doing for more and good, like, and I'm sure we'll have a few here as well. So the things would be open, as I said, like, and the trick here is everyone would know about what's happening from the point of the key events, but it would be not very apparent of why is this happening, how it's described and how it's written. And I want to make something really interactive, like, about this. And so we'll see, like, we are currently in work. Like I said, like, it's a lot of things done and not just text. For example, like, on the dynasties, like, I have a lot of proprietary art that been created some times ago, like, that depicts a lot of the characters, some of the fractions and some of the events and incidents, like, and how those fractions fight with each other around the world and compete to find secret relics and artifacts and all of the clandestine operations, like, they're engaging around the world. I believe it to be super interesting for me, like, I'm writing this for myself mostly, because I don't really like what's happening with the Star Wars and Marvel and a bunch of other franchises I used to love, like, and I just trying to create something very cool, very fat, like, very greasy in a good sense, like, written in an old school with a little bit of a grudgy noir-like stories, like, storytelling style, and share it with people, so it will be available to everyone, like, and I can write it into the stories now, not as a hobby, like, but as an actual project that's going on. There will be more art. Most of these are produced, like, all of this are produced by my friend Dmitry Pantykhov. I don't know if he would be continue contributing into that, like, but I hope he will. We're in touch, like, if not, then I'll be working with a couple of other artists, like, so they would contribute into this story. And so, as you can imagine, like, on the timeline, the separate set in sections, those text snippets and those graphic elements would be accompanied by those artworks, like, and more of a detailed descriptions of the things going on. On the development of the cyber side as well, I mean, like, a lot of people know I'm working in the graphic comic, like, in the graphic novel and a bunch of comic. It's over the half now. It's supposed to be 15 or maybe 16 chapters. There's 9 here, like, and I can quickly go through it, right? Like, and this is a lot of art, like, and the key about the graphic novel is it happens from the point of view of Matilda, not James. So it can give a completely different angle, like to the things going on, right? Like, and we also use it for more expanding the part of the universe with it, and as well bringing in more flashbacks, which is an important part of the cyber site, which will be reappearing in text, like in the cyber site at the beginning, and maybe other affiliated products. Till the end of the year, that will be like done 100%. It will be launched as the separate chapters. It will be also launched as 2 or maybe 3 hardcovers to all available networks. But distribution and commercialization is something I haven't decided yet. I'll talk about it, like in the end. But yeah, you can see it's a lot of material. I can also quickly go, like through the setting, like, and tell you what do I have from the point of view of positions in each of them. Now, there's a lot of lore here, like a lot of lore. Like I said, 300 pages, about 60-70 art positions. I will be writing this last, I think, because it has way too many intersections, way too many connected to the general timeline. I have a lot of scripts, and what I've been doing for a long time, I've been writing this interrogation interviews and interviews of people who are the parts of the incidents, like happening around this. And I literally have about like 100, maybe 150 pages of that in form of the movie script, like which I will be adapting for the website purposes first, and then putting this into a book as well. For 12 Hour, working on that one with Alisa. We have the book written, really. We're giving this a 5th edit, I would say. And it has to be translated because this one been written in Russian, like, and I think we might be alright for till the end of the year, though we do not set any deadlines on any of this, really, like, and want to make this perfect as well. I mean, like, and make sure that this is great. But this book on this is done, like, there's a lot of work as well done into the characters, because the characters are important. It's called 12th Hour for a reason, like, it's I would not spoil anything on this one, because, like, I can spoil anything on the timeline. I would not tell you anything that happens actually in the book before they're done. But yeah, no, that's an interesting one. That's a detective thriller. I mean, like, I will repeat it again from the point of view of detective narrative. I think this is the best thing I've been writing and participating in for a very long time, mostly due to Alisa participants. She's a very good writer. But yeah, no, this is an editing. Cyber site, on the cyber site, there's one book written, one book in progress, graphic novel to be done till the end of the year. There is a movie script. There are some pre-production activities affiliated to for virtual production movie stuff with a couple of my friends as well. There is a principal contract signed with one of the movie studios for the filming, like, of the core cyber site. Then we'll see how it does unwrap, like, given the state of the industry and whatever, like, but I'm actively working on trying to push this into the screen as well. I'll be keeping you informed. And the synthesis is actually, I have a movie script for this as well. I have a full-fledged movie script which is done and sealed, such as for all of the fractions and characters, and a lot of auxiliary art, call it this way, like, and this is kind of something which is well described, though there is nothing really super consistent here from the point of view of book writing, or lots of art, like, so from the point of view of art, that's something that will require most attention, such as the 12th Hour probably, like, but those for 3 are pretty much covered. On the website timelines, I'm a big fan of the timelines, as you can see from this one, like, and currently There is mood board working, and we're thinking how to put all of this together. The biggest challenge is, is if you will think about it, is how do you make it be reasonable the mobile? Because we were talking about the map, like as an example from the General Motors, right? So you do the timeline, you have like great background, and you have separate events here, and you can just horizontally scroll it. But the issue is with this snippets and events, because like mentioned, we want to do it in a way where you press it, and you can access like a separate pop-up, right? Where there's an explanation of events, and it gets tricky on the mobile. It loses a lot of attraction, and we're thinking about how to do it properly. One of the other challenges is that it's the navigation in between general timeline and what do you do and how do you navigate to switch to other timelines and still see them interconnected and what events are connected with what. So it's a lot of systemic and narrative work that goes into the design and it's hard as nails though I'm really enjoying this challenge, because I feel like we're doing something no one really did before, to this extent, and given an element, of a potential contribution of new content to it, so it's not static, it becomes even more of an interesting as a challenge, right? And that's kind of that, and I also promised to talk a little bit on the commercialization and how this will go into the world. The honest answer is I don't know. I have a couple of offers from a couple of media groups. To go out, and if you've been following my Facebook, I've been talking to a couple of publishing houses, though the more and more into working with it, I actually start thinking about a very sophisticated model of self-publishing and involving community first and doing this thing kind of all by myself, and it sounds like a huge challenge. Wouldn't lie, it's not that you just go one book out, it's a lot of community work associated with the website. It's a high frequency of updates. It's effectively, it's like launching the setting as a live operation game. It's you launch it with a couple of things, and then you have the roadmap, and you declare this roadmap, and you need to be on deadline to get with other products related with this and other events and more content. So maybe it calls for a little group of people in the team, that we will be working together and self-publish it to multiple platforms and work directly with community. Moreover, I strongly believe in that. And another thing, to be very honest, I don't really want to again involve, into any industrial complex associated companies, not in game development, not in books or whatever. The movies are probably exception, it's, you cannot really avoid, this situation of licensing into the movie world, and you need to have a very substantial budget to get it into the silver screen, and I think it's gonna be silver screen. But there are some experiments wherein in the virtual production, which may change that as well. So this is the gig. Again, a big one from the point of view of the timeline and not the story timeline, of more of a of events that will take place. Given the complexity of the website, I think it will be launched in the Q4. I think it would be September. Number of things I want to do, a few people I want to involve into all that, to help me with it, and to be advisors on it, and to write into that a little bit. Number of contributors who are traditionally working with me, some people helping with this stuff, right? And all of this needs to be aligned. The roadmap of the future content rollout, need to be done, and I really want to start the website at the same time that at least the comic first releases would happen, maybe the first hardcover and the first 6 chapters, and Cyberside the beginning would be done in the first draft and edited at least a couple of times. So that's the goal. I mean, like, but anyway, like now I mean, like, it's a solo retirement type of the project. Like, it's my priority project at this point. I would say that I'm spending, well, I'm currently if you would talk like 40 hours a week, I don't do anything in 20 hours, like of the working time, because I can. I'd say that I spent 15 hours, like a week into that, for maybe a little bit more than I have an inspiration. But I feel like that will change, like this summer, because I would need to invest more work in that. Everything else goes into consulting, like, because I still do some consulting stuff with people. So that it, like, I hope it answers a lot of the questions what I'm busy with. Like, it's writing literature, narrative, building a very big story on the size of the Game of Thrones, really, like, which can be fairly intimidating at some point. But I'm super excited. I have an opportunity to dedicate my time on that. Like, I'm also talking to few people now, like, who will be helping me from the point of view of building the roadmap and help to systemize the activity and help with the community building. And that it, like, so the plan is I will be doing regular updates on what we do on that. Let you know, guys, like, how this progresses. That some of the examples and some of the, for example, for Cyberside, for chapters, like, we're putting them on the webtoon currently, just to have a web link to show it to people who are interested, like, and get some original for some initial feedback at this point. Yeah, I mean, like, I'm also super excited because this really calls for collaboration with very interesting and cool people. I mean, like, who like the stuff that I do. I believe I'm a good writer. I've been told that, like, by a bunch of people before. And people seem to like to read what I do, like, and to like the stories that I make. So I really hope that you will enjoy a good story and the things that we're cooking here, and we're definitely cooking some great stuff here. So yeah, now I'll put this video to Facebook as well, and to LinkedIn and whatever. Mostly because, as discussed before, I'm a lazy person, like, and the big reason why I'm doing this, because a lot of people are asking, it's like, oh, you're telling everyone you're in a retirement, you probably are doing something secretly that we don't know. It's probably some big business project. It's not a business project, like, it's fairly saying, like, it's a building my own world, like, in literature and comic and the board games. And fortunately that then we would be able to license it to the games or movies or whatever. I think that this will be able to occupy me for the next 3-4 years easily, like, which is a very comfortable concept for me, in general. So yeah, if you have any questions, please ask. You can send an email to me, like, if you're, like, super interested, or you can ask in a Telegram channel or in the comments here, or just holler at me, like, in one of the messengers, because I'm so interested in that, and because this is generally my thing, like, this is one of the subjects I'm very happy to talk about a lot, like, so yeah, well, that's it. I mean, like, and have a good day. Subscribe and tell friends who are interested in such things, because, like, again, there would be updates, and I believe that the way I'm telling about it, the way I'm showing things in work, it can be also useful for people who want to build their own big story or who are working in the narrative. Well, cheers and have a good day. There would be another video I will do today, like, which would be about some plans for the channel. I will do it in Russian for the Russian audiences, for Russian-speaking audiences, and we'll talk a little bit about some of the other categories and type of the content that we would be doing at the channel. let me check for if there are any questions. There are no questions because only 6 people are here, which isn't a surprise. It's a working time for everyone, and it's easy time for me, and I'm not working. So this is why it's done now. And yeah, well, I mean, have a good day. Again, goodbye.